Ready?
Oh yeah.
Let's get it. All right. It is week 9 in the other league. I am your host of the podcast, your fearless leader, your commissioner in chief, Christopher Chase Edmonds, also known as head coach of the St. Brown and the Broken Zones. With me today, I have a very special co host, Wesley Fall.
Hello, hello. Cheers, you filthy animals.
Cheers, cheers,
Good morning
cheers.
by the time y'all see this.
I know. How's it feel to be part of the morning show now?
Oh, it's nice. It's nice.
Do we like the podcast coming out on the mornings? Does it give you
Oh
something
yeah.
to? Yeah, we like that.
Oh yeah. Big fan. Big fan. Wake up. Got to get up early anyways because my wife goes to work earlier than me. So gives me time to take care of the dogs, have a coffee, listen to some good news.
Just to be clear, I didn't include this in the intro, but your wife, who is wildly successful and an incredibly important member of our society, Wesley Fall, who takes care of the dogs and has coffee every morning. So
Yeah, I mean it's nice to have a sugar mama. What can I say?
yeah. We love Tate here on the podcast. We're
Yeah,
big
we're
Tate guys.
couple raises away from hitting the back nine. That's the end goal. You know what I mean?
There we go. Yeah. All right. We've got a very special show. We're gonna start off with me making good on a bet that might have been ill-advised, but you can't predict injury, right? You can't predict injury.
You can only predict it if you bet on it. Then it's going to be an injury.
It was guaranteed. This is proof. This is yet again liquid proof that the curse is real. So here's cheers to you, Scott, for our stupid fucking bet. And cheers to the curse. May it never die.
I won't let you be alone.
Oh, thanks, buddy. Whew. That was much improved over my Evan Williams that I had last time.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've upgraded. All right.
Podcast has some revenue now.
Does it? Yeah. If you have a small business and you would like to reach a growing audience of upwards of 10 people, hit me up at Call Me Topher on Venmo. I'll say whatever you want. Put it in the ad copy. I'll read it. I'm shameless. Shameless advertising hoe. I will do it.
Oh man.
All right, let's get into the matchups. We don't have to talk about this one too much if we don't want to. St. Brown in the Broken Zones breaking the league record for a new low and holding that record for almost a full 24 hours, 73 points up against Wesley Fall. You and I faced off, and the best man won by no less than 50 points. How'd it feel?
It was a good win. I will say the trade that I had that week came through pretty good. Joe Mixon did all right. Had Patty on bye, Patty the Batty, so at least you didn't have his wrap to deal with. Otherwise, Pittman with the measly 12, that might have been another 10 on top of you there. But
I was telling you, so I'll tell you what I was watching the most, and I was really kind of waiting to make a lot of my roster decisions based on what Tom Brady and Mike Evans did in the Thursday game. And when Tom Brady and Mike Evans end up in the clubhouse with 17 and 18 points, I feel like I'm still in it. Like I've got a chance. It was very possible because Mike Evans, I believe, had multiple red zone targets that could have easily been touchdowns, and they just didn't connect.
Yeah, 2 weeks in a row for Mike Evans, but also 2 weeks in a row that he's put up over 15. So can't be too mad, you know what I mean? But I'll take what I could get.
No, your team was solid that week. Everyone in double digits. The only like big game that I'm really seeing, the only person over 20 actually ended up putting up 33.9. DeAndre Hopkins, no rust at all.
Yeah, 2 games in, steroids are working well. Hopefully it lasts the rest of the season and he keeps his strong performance. But flipping the table real quick, going to your team.
No. Do we have to?
Yeah, just real quick. Big props that you didn't have a single person go negative and you held the low record for a solid 24 hours. So
one full day, I was a league record holder. Shout out Derek Carr, 1.94.
Positive.
Yeah, positive. But that one was hard for me because as much as I love seeing the New Orleans Saints defense actually do what you want them to do, it had to be Derek Carr. Just had to be. That was the one game he hasn't. I mean, he's not an upside quarterback this year. He came in with like top 10 potential with the Devontae Adams signing and just never lived up to it. But up until then, he was putting up like a solid, not great floor. This is like through the basement. This was bad.
Yeah, going off script here a little bit, speaking about how the hype for Derek Carr was. Can you imagine if he was on the Packers instead of Aaron Rodgers right now and they were flipped? Like Aaron Rodgers was close to a top 10 quarterback last year when he had Devontae Adams, and now he has nothing, and he's just like kind of a fringe top 20, you know?
Yeah.
Like Derek Carr on that type of team would just be trash. Like he has the weapons and they're just not performing.
I think the biggest mistake that I made when setting up this league was not ensuring that quarterbacks got points for handing the ball off to Josh Jacobs. If I could have
only Josh Jacobs.
Only Josh. If I could have ensured that Derek Carr is QB1. Yeah. So tough matchup, but Wesley, congratulations on your win. I took it like a man and I held a record, but not for very long. Next matchup was a much closer one, much more high scoring, high octane. We had Corey Eller putting up 145 and only losing by 2 points, 147 points from Matt Kumar. That was electric. That came down to the Cincinnati Bengals kicker in a primetime island game. If he had just made one field goal, could have sealed it for Corey Eller. But alas, Evan McPherson putting up the incredible game line of one missed field goal, one missed extra point, one made extra point, 0 points total.
Yeah, at least he made one, right? But
might as well have been negative. It did nothing. Just
yeah.
if he had just made that one field goal attempt that he had, would have given Corey Eller 4 points and the victory. But no, it shows you how important. I mean, how do you predict a kicker having such a bad night, especially on the Bengals, which is like a high scoring offense? It's a high efficiency offense. You would think he can put up 2 points.
Yep. The biggest takeaway from this for me is that the Raiders almost cost 3 teams a victory this week. and the flip side of that is that we almost had 2 games in a row here where the player's hometown team almost caused the loss because AJ Brown 3 touchdowns. Matt's team, the Eagles. I mean, he he was cheering for the Eagles going all out, but in the back of his mind, he was like, "Can somebody else catch the ball?"
Yeah, AJ Brown, chill.
Yeah,
yeah, that was a fun matchup. I'm glad that we had a matchup in this league that came down to a single player in an island game. That was really fun to watch. I was watching that game out on the front yard during Halloween trick-or-treating stuff with Alex and Pat. So we had a good time watching that. I love the intensity that adds to the league. I think it's a good time. And of course, the group me, as always, was popping off.
Yeah, completely agree. I think that was the closest one that we've had, or the biggest nail biter. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
Where it really came down to the last minute.
We actually had 2 decent nail biters that were pretty high scoring. But before we get into the high scoring teams, let's talk about a team that took my league record one day after I sealed it. I brought the low all the way down from 74 to 73. And then Corey Funderburg had to go on and shatter that record, bring it down to a very nice 69 points, 69.28 from Corey Funderburg's team, losing handedly to Alex Orbeck, put up 158. Biggest takeaway in this one for you, what are you looking at?
Obviously that he hit the nail on the head with the number. Like nobody can go lower this season. 69 is just prime. Okay. So like,
yeah. So what you're saying
that
is
has to hold.
Yeah. Even for you teams who are out of contention and you're going to start selling off for keepers, you better not score less than 69 points. Like
exactly.
That's
if you can hit 69, then you're on to something. But until then,
I'll tell you what, if that would be incredible. What if from here on out, if you score less than 69 points, I think you owe the podcast a shot. We will Snapchat you in or something. Like we'll find a way.
I agree.
You owe the group me a videoed shot somehow, some way.
I completely agree with you.
If you score less than 69, and if you hit 69.69, everybody else does a shot.
Yeah, hey, I'm in.
I'm in. I love that. Yeah.
But the other takeaway though is McCaffrey the real deal on the new team? I mean, that is such a stellar performance. He hadn't had a bad performance this year, but he hadn't had a spectacular performance, and he just broke out there. So is all he needed really was just Jimmy G at the helm? Is that all he's been missing?
No, this is stop making Jimmy G happen. Jimmy G won't happen. Stop trying to make fetch happen.
Dude, he'll be back next year. Mark my words. But continue.
I'm just really confused by the Christian McCaffrey thing because obviously the talent is there. The dude is an unreal generational talent. Was the Carolina offense that bad where it really limited him? Because since he's left, Carolina offense has actually been all right with PJ at quarterback.
So I've back in my day when I would run and stuff, I was somewhat athletic, and I've been on some teams where you just have such a stellar player. All you do is try to run the team through him, and honestly, it's to a disadvantage to the team. So I think the best thing what for them and for him was to trade him because he has weapons around him that lets him get out in open space, and it also allows Carolina to now more function as a true team and get other players involved. Because sometimes when you just have that star talent, you feel like, oh, he'll win it for us, and it just hurts the whole team. So
Wesley, just to be clear, were you that star talent on that team? Is that what the problem was? You were just too good for the co-ed flag football team you played
I
on?
mean, you were on a couple of my teams, so I'll let you be the judge of that.
Oh my God. I'm gonna let the rest of the podcast know neither one of us were the star players on our teams. We were assist leaders on that team.
I was the emotional leader of the team. Okay, I brought the passion and the heart.
Yeah, we really appreciated that. So great insight from star athlete Wesley Fall.
5 star. Look
Five
me up on
star,
ESPN.
5-star recruit Wesley Fall. Our next matchup was Gavin Gilmore putting up 107, but losing to Patrick Dragon. Patrick Dragon, who now has my favorite name in the league, high knees in an airplane. I've never seen someone get so triggered by a news story than Pat hearing about Russell Wilson doing high knees for that transatlantic flight to London.
Yeah, I mean, rightfully so, though, right? That's literally the worst kind of person to be going up and down the airplane alleyway, whatever that's called.
Did you actually notice this? In watching the Broncos game, I noticed that when someone scored a touchdown on the Broncos, you know how like normally your quarterback, so it's usually the wide receivers or like whoever blocked for you if it was a goal line run, they're like the first ones there celebrating, and then your quarterback is normally like right there behind you and like you
Yep.
dap them up, something like that. I did not see Russell Wilson get anywhere near his players who scored a touchdown. Like I I cannot imagine that locker room tension with Russell Wilson. Do you think he sits by himself at lunch?
Yeah, no, he easily. I don't know if you saw it. I think it was the first touchdown they scored. He like busted a nut by himself in the corner. He like was cheering so hard by himself. Didn't run up to the teammates. He like popped a squat, started shaking the arm, and was just like, "Hell yeah!" And I was like, "Dude, you have a whole team that did that for you." I think he even handed it off. I was like, "You didn't do anything." Like, but
What
anyways,
an absolute weirdo.
yeah. No, he's alone. He's out on an island right now, but he's been paid too much money. So good luck with him.
That's what happens when you get rich. You know, you hit a certain point, you just get weird.
Oh yeah, easily. I would be
Yeah. So another
pretty
player who's
halfway there.
a player who hasn't lost his locker room, Amari Cooper, showing out in this game. Amari Cooper, like I said, we were all watching this game in the front yard for Halloween, and Amari Cooper made a catch where it was an over the shoulder catch. He beats two defenders, just pure speed and route running, and over the shoulder catches the ball, and the ball's almost it's like below his knees when he first catches it, and he somehow like grabs it and then brings it back up before it touches the ground. It gets about that far from hitting dirt, and it was just an incredible downfield catch. Amari Cooper probably better than Dallas expected when they shipped him off.
I think they knew what they were doing. I mean, they drafted CD Lamb first round. They want CD Lamb to be the man. You can't be the man unless you beat the man. And if you can't beat the man, ship the man off. So,
Ship him
I mean,
off to Cleveland.
yeah, that's basically what they did with Amari. I mean, they sold him for pennies on the dollar. I think they got like a fifth and a sixth round pick. He he and Julio were like the biggest two wide receivers out of Bama from our generation that really started to change the NFL game. And he's still there in my opinion. Julio's dropped off, but Amari, I think he still has another 2 years of this type of talent personally. So I think that was a huge mistake on Dallas's part. I don't think CD's ready for the limelight just yet. I think he can be, but he's not there just yet. So Cleveland has a star with him. Can't wait for him and Deshaun to start pairing up in a couple weeks. Big fan.
Yeah, aren't you still holding on to Deshaun?
Oh yes, sir.
Wow, that roster spot is it's been ice cold this whole season. Finally gonna get used.
Yeah, we're still a couple weeks away, but yeah.
God, the patience of this man. All right, our last matchup, another high flying affair. We had a chance to see Scott Sharp's team grit putting up 161 points against the current league leader, Alex Dragon, but it just wasn't enough. 169 points from Alex Dragon's team. Really impressive performance all the way around, especially from Derrick Henry. On the other side, we had Scott with two breakout players, Alvin Kamara putting up 42.8, who dat, love my Saints, and Tyreek Hill 31.5. Scott's team definitely dangerous when healthy.
Yeah, when healthy, arguably the best team in the league. I mean, you don't really see that big of a flaw when they're healthy. Maybe Carter. It's just tough that he got out to such a slow start. Had a couple of managerial errors, but that could happen to anybody at any point in the season. And I mean,
Okay.
if he just had one or two more wins to his name, he'd be a playoff contender, easy.
I mean, so if we really look at Scott's team, he's got T. Higgins, who I really thought was going to ball out against Cleveland and didn't. Saved him with a late, garbage touchdown, 13.9 points. But T. Higgins can go off at any point. George Kittle can go off at any point. Tyreek Hill has been going off and will continue to do so. CD Lamb, the man in Denver, as we've already described, now with Dak Prescott back. Alvin Kamara, if he gets back into Alvin Kamara form and is going to keep on doing this, I mean, the Saints don't have any healthy pass catchers to dish the ball out to. Alvin Kamara is going to get his. The two weaknesses I see in this team are quarterback, which Scott has mentioned multiple times on the podcast, and then that RB2 slot, which this week was Michael Carter. Previously, he's put David Montgomery in that spot. I don't see either one of those being like a breakout game candidate. So he's going to have to rely on those other ones, but those are some big game players that he has on the team. It's unfortunate he ran up against the Alex Dragon buzzsaw and he just got a crazy points against.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with everything you're saying. But if you look at all the other teams in the league, there's not one team that has every single roster spot filled with a star. So I think his quarterbacks are good enough, and it's really just the RB2. But he could get by with what he has for that. It's just tough that he doesn't have one or two more wins at this moment because he'd be a huge playoff contention. Flipping it over though to tossing lettuce. Sorry, I mean he's a freight train right now. Who can stop him?
Who, Alex Dragon's freight train? I mean, Stephon Diggs, Derrick Henry, Tua, Jared Goff in the flex, who, I mean, can give you like single digits, but also can. I mean, they're going to be in so many shootouts because their defense is so bad. Yep. And on the bench, he's got Ramondre Stevenson, who's like the hot newness.
Yep, 7th ranked running back right now.
Yeah, so on the bench, it's a good sign. One last thing I'll say about Team Grit over here. We talked about quarterback play. Kirk Cousins getting a new toy to play with to make up for the Irv Smith downtime at tight end, but we'll talk more about that after the break. We're going to talk NFL trade deadline moves. That's a teaser. That's what we call that in the business, Wesley. You like that?
Oh, yeah.
All right. Before we get to that, let's talk current standings. We just went through the matchup. Let's see how everyone is set up in the current standings. Let's see here. I'm going to do something fancy here. Share my screen. All right. So here we are. I'm going to zoom. What? There we go.
Oh, yeah. You left 2 cucks up there on your thing.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Sorry. That's my incognito window is still up. Yeah. Sorry, guys. Okay. All right. So looking at the current standings, we have Matt's team sitting atop in the East, tied with Alex Orbeck, both at 5-3. It looks like Matt currently has the lead in playoff percentage based on ESPN projections, sitting at 79. Alex Orbeck projected at 55% chance to make the playoffs. You've got yours truly sitting 2 games back at 3-5 with a 10% chance. So I can't sell everything just yet. I can only sell most things. And then rounding out our division, we have Gavin and Scott, 1% chance to make the playoffs, 2-6 and 1-7 respectively. Looking over across the way, it's much more evened out. We have Alex Dragon atop that one with a comfortable 2-game lead, 7-1 with a 95% chance to make playoffs. And then after that, we have 3 teams, Pat Dragon, Wesley Fall, and Corey Funderburg, all sitting at 5-3 with anywhere between 43 and 58% chance to make the playoffs. And then rounding out that division at 2 and 6 with only a 1% chance, not mathematically ruled out, but might as well be, Corey Eller. Let's take a look at the projected playoff bracket. We're going to start doing this every week when we get to the standing section, because now we're making the run for playoffs. Current projected playoff bracket. We have in the 1-4 matchup, to no surprise, is going to be a Dragon Ball. I would love to see a Dragon Ball in the playoffs. We have Pat in that 4 spot, Alex Dragon in the 1 spot. The interesting shakeup is at the 2 and 3. Matt Kumor taking the 2 spot as the leader in our division, but then Alex Orbeck sliding up into that number 3 spot in the projected playoff standings as it stands today. Wesley, what do you see here with that move between the 5 and 3 teams?
Yes, the biggest glaring one obviously is that Orbs and Funderburg's out. That hopefully this last week just doesn't come back to haunt Corey putting up the 69 represent, because that just killed his points for tiebreaker. He actually went from being, I think, 3rd or 4th in the playoffs last year to being 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, the 6th rated team now. So that's a big one. He's got to pretty much win outright now on just wins and losses to get back in. The other thing is that you at 10%, I actually think that's low. 2 games out isn't that far out. You get a win. We're going to have some cannibalism at the 5 and 3 teams. And I mean, anything can happen. I think the 2 and 6s and the 1 and 7 are probably pretty much mathematically eliminated. It's going to be a lot to overcome that many teams, but we have some interesting weeks ahead of us for sure. It's going to be some fun times.
I'll tell you where I'm sitting at right now with me being 3 and 5. I'm the only 3 and 5 team. We don't have a 4 and 4 team. And then there's a bunch of teams at 5 and 3. I am in what I'm calling fantasy purgatory, because I clearly need to do something. I need to make a move, but I can't just often sell, my number 1 asset of Austin Eckler just yet, because that upside is what's going to give me a chance to win a couple games coming up. And if I'm looking at my schedule coming up, I actually like my chances at seeing who I'm playing. It looks like coming up, I'm playing as Alex Orbeck this week, but then I play Team Grit. So if I can pull off 2 wins or even 1 win in those 2, and then the 5 and 3s cannibalize each other, like you said, I'm living in fantasy purgatory. I would love to either have 1 more win or 1 more loss right now at this moment, because then I can make very definitive moves. But right now I'm kind of like, I just have to choose. Am I going to try and compete, or am I already looking to next year? And looking to next year when I'm just 2 games out doesn't feel right.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I think one thing that might help with that decision is if we actually change how we draft next year. This is going out on a limb here. And we do something along the lines of how the NBA does it. So if you're last place, somehow you get, like, say, 4 names in the hat. And if you're second to last, you get 3 names in the hat, and so forth, right? That way the last place isn't guaranteed pick number 1, but they have a higher chance, because it may help teams that are on the edge commit to one way or the other if they get a trade that they want. So just throwing it out there as something to think about. I don't know how it'd go over, haven't done a lot of thought with it, but something interesting that we might could do.
Yeah, and something to consider as we talk about some things for the league. We are still in the infancy of this league.
yeah.
And with our keeper rules and the way that this is set up, this is a league that I really think we start to figure it out and how it works after year 2 or 3. Like, then we start to see trends. People start to learn, okay, this is how the format works. This is how I develop my strategy in this format. And then we're going to start seeing some things where, like, maybe we should change that. And I'm totally open. I think one that's definitely on the table to avoid controversy next year is instant trades. If you can work out a deal with another player in the league and you guys hit accept on that, it should happen. Like, that avoids a lot of confusion. Vetoes really shouldn't happen unless, league manager can obviously still overrule something that's obvious collusion, especially as we get closer to championship time. We'll be keeping an eye on that, but we do have a trade deadline of November 30th in this league. So we can change trade rules. We can change some drafting the way we decide draft order, or I'm open to a lot of things.
Yeah, I
And
think we'll definitely need an owners meeting in the summertime. Come up with some rules. You know what I mean?
I think we can
But
do that.
I think that the reason I brought up the draft thing though is that it would help too, since we are doing keepers. Whereas like you don't have keepers and you do a normal snake draft every year, it's probability of what do you get, right? But having keepers, it adds that value also of like, what if you have all the best keepers and you get the number one pick, you know? And that's just probability. Whereas if it's based off of how you did last year and you have good keepers, it could really take a team that was in last place the year before and they have a shot at winning it all the next year. So I
right.
think it just adds a little flair to it.
Especially in a two quarterback league, well, a super flex league, which is effectively a two quarterback league, where
Yeah.
having those top 3 to 5 picks really can separate you and like give you high upside positional advantage.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah, I'm interested by that. So we'll talk more about that as we get closer to the end of the league. I think right now it is time for us to take a look at some of the NFL trade deadline moves, the ones that came in right before the bell, and talk about. We're going to give it a simple thumbs up or thumbs down for our fantasy relevant players and see, was this good or was it bad for their fantasy outlook going forward? You ready, Wesley?
Oh, I'm ready. Born ready.
Born ready. All right. So we're going to skip over some of the defensive maneuvers.
5 star.
Five-star athlete, Wesley Fall, always ready for game time. We're going to skip over some of the smaller moves that were made at the trade deadline. Here's the first big one. The Colts sending Nyheim Hines to the Buffalo Bills. For Nyheim Hines, for you, is this a thumbs up or a thumbs down?
I think it's a thumbs up. That's actually why I went and picked him up off the waiver wire. I think he's going to be the passing back specialist. Gavin, I'm speaking to you directly here. Okay. He is your handcuff. Just keep that in mind, marinate on it. Talk to me tomorrow morning.
There we
But
go.
I think that he'll be taking some of the workload away from Singletary because he's a true passing back specialist, and Buffalo just scores points passing the ball. So
Yeah. But
I think it's only good for him.
for me, I think it's a thumbs up for Nyheim Hines because he's just on a better team. The Colts are just a dysfunctional franchise right now. Um, as for Devin Singletary, part of me wants to give it a thumbs down because it's another option in the run game or passing game that'll take away touches from Devin Singletary. But truth be told, no one's looking at the Bills because they want the running back. If you want a Bills player for fantasy, you want a part of that passing attack and Josh Allen.
Yep.
Yeah. So a thumbs up for Nyheim Hines from both of us. And then no decision on Devin Singletary after that. All right. Let's talk about the Dolphins. The Dolphins made a couple moves. Dolphins, we'll break it down into parts. They send Chase Edmonds as part of their deal to get a pass rusher, Bradley Chubb. They send Chase Edmonds to the Broncos. Is that a thumbs up or a thumbs down for you for Chase Edmonds going to the Broncos?
Um, for this season, I think it's probably indifferent. The running back's going to be by committee. I think he has an opportunity next season to be the lead back. They obviously don't like Melvin Gordon there. Latavius Murray, apparently everywhere he goes, he's just the guy to get him through the season. He's not a long-term option. So, thumbs to the side for this one for him.
I'm going to give this one a thumbs up for Chase Edmonds. Um, Mainly so I can get an Edmonds jersey with a Denver Broncos jersey that says Edmonds on it, even though it's spelled wrong. But also because they clearly weren't going to utilize Chase Edmonds the way that Chase Edmonds really wants to be in that Miami offense. Like Mike McCarthy is a Raheem Mostert guy. Like he absolutely loves him. He wants the offense to go through him. And then Jeff Wilson, the next one we'll talk about, bringing Jeff Wilson to the Dolphins. Clearly, Mike McCarthy knows his guys and wants them in his offense. Chase Edmonds doesn't fit in that. And I'm looking at Chase Edmonds to maybe do a little Javante type work here in Denver. And who knows if and when we can get that offense rolling again. I'm saying thumbs up for Chase Edmonds because at least it's a little bit better than being in an offense that doesn't want you.
Yeah, that's completely fair.
Yep.
And moving into the flip side with Jeff Wilson, though, I mean, he's not a pass catching specialist. And with all the air raid threat that they have, maybe that's what they need. So that'll be an interesting one to take a look at here this season as well.
I think Jeff Wilson is this is a thumbs up for Jeff Wilson, primarily because I mean with Christian McCaffrey, yeah, with Christian McCaffrey at the 49ers, you're going to lose your job. Like, you're not going to do anything besides spell him occasionally.
Yeah, well, and he was already the second string behind Elijah Mitchell. So once Mitchell's healthy, he was going to be the third string, and nothing
Absolutely.
happens for the third string. The only issue for San Fran now is that they have two running backs that don't like to play full seasons. So what are they going to do when they're both out? They're going to be like, oh, where's our
That
third running back that can't play a full season?
no, they're just going to time. Well, that's what Debo Samuel's for. It's fine.
Oh, right, right. You're right.
Yep. All right. Here's an interesting one. This is one that has impact for next year. Does not have impact for this year because this player is currently suspended through the end of 2022. The Falcons trading away Calvin Ridley to the Jaguars. Is this a thumbs up or a thumbs down for Calvin Ridley?
All the experts say thumbs up. For me, thumbs to the side. They already have a lot of talent there. You have Christian Kirk, you have ETN, you have Trevor Lawrence that's supposed to be the guy. Um, so I don't know. I mean, I think it'll help Trevor Lawrence out, but I'm not sure what Calvin Ridley is going to look like after taking a whole year off. So it'll be interesting to see how that plays out.
I'm going to give this a thumbs up for Calvin Ridley and also for the Falcons. Main reason is it sounds like Calvin Ridley just needed to be in a new environment, whether that's the people around him, whether that's the actual franchise, whether that's the actual city that he's in. Whatever was going on in Atlanta clearly wasn't working for him. So if he can go to a new place, get a change of scenery, work with some new people around him, and maybe just get better as a person with all of the health issues that he's had, that's a big thumbs up, regardless of football for me. And also for the Falcons, that means they can move on from what is clearly a not ideal situation. I mean, you can't be mad at a player for taking his mental health into account, but then he has a suspension that he's got to deal with. I mean, it's such a tricky situation, and I think they're doing the right thing by cutting bait, and everyone can just move on and try
Yeah,
something new.
yeah. I think your take on that's 100% right. And for Calvin Ridley on the positive side, I know I did a thumbs to the side, but on the positive side for him, the Jaguars somewhat are trending up while the Falcons offense is somewhat trending down. So he should get more opportunities there, but
The
we'll see.
Falcons offense blows my. I would be so frustrated if I was a pass catcher in Atlanta, because even when they're losing games by a million, they are
Yep.
so committed to that run game
Yep.
unnecessarily. It makes no sense to me. So I'll give
Talk
this one
about
a
talk about a team that Debo needs to be on, a wide receiver that runs the ball.
that's a Debo wet dream team.
Yeah, yeah.
All right, we've got two more of these to get through. So next to last one, the Steelers trading away Chase Claypool to the Chicago Bears. I'm gonna say I'll go ahead and take this one first. I'm gonna say this is a thumbs up for Chase Claypool. Um, he's going to an offense that is hot with Justin Fields over the past 4 weeks, actually looking like an NFL quarterback. I will happily, if I were a pass catcher with that kind of range that Chase Claypool has, Justin Fields doesn't have to be perfect, but he does have to throw the ball. And the Steelers with Najee Harris with that inefficient running game, there's just not enough pass attempts with Kenny Pickett, who is a very inexperienced quarterback. I'll go to a Justin Fields that's trending up versus a Kenny Pickett that's been trending down, even though it's been against some pretty tough teams lately. So thumbs up, Chase Claypool and Justin Fields on this one.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. Thumbs up. Uh, name who before Claypool went there, who was the guy at receiver for them?
At the Chicago Bears, I believe that was Darnell Mooney.
Yeah, so my point exactly. Not a household name. So
Currently available, I believe, in a
yeah,
lot of leagues.
yeah. So and Claypool is a big dude, so that's a big pickup for them. Really gives them a wide receiver number one if he can grab the opportunity and go after it. The Steelers, for whatever reason, it feels like they always have wide receivers they can give up. So, even though he's gone, you have Pickens and Deontay Johnson there for them for Pickett to try to grow around. So I think all
Yeah.
around good move for all teams.
I'll be honest with you, biggest thumbs up for me on this one is really George Pickens. George Pickens, who's already shown a connection with Kenny Pickett.
Yep.
Huge thumbs up because this is just one less person that's got to get fed.
Yep. Completely agree.
All right. Last one, we're going to give a thumbs up or a thumbs down to. How do you feel about the Vikings taking TJ Hawkinson from the Lions? Thumbs up or thumbs down for Hawk?
This one hits near and dear to my heart since he's on my roster.
Hits near and dear to your Hawk strap.
Yeah. Hey, there you go. was a good one. Uh, I when Swift is injured, I hate that he's gone because he gets targets and yards when Swift is injured. Um, with that being said, he's going to a lot better offense over there, so hopefully he gets a little bit more volume, can really get integrated to the team. Uh, I just they also have so many options that it's like, is he going to get all those looks? So I'm really torn on this one. I can't say thumbs up or thumbs down yet. It's really just going to see what the season turns out for him because he's going to stay as good as he's been at the Lions. It's just a matter of will this put him at the next step, or is he just still going to stay at where he is at tight end 4 or 5, something like that.
Yeah, I will say, I think for a Hawk, this is most likely, if we're talking upside, which is what you want from the tight end position that's already so bad across the board if you don't have the top three, you want the ability for them to have those absolute boom games. I'm going to say this is actually a thumbs down for Hawkinson. I will say this is a major thumbs down for Adam Thielen, who like the red zone targets that like make him fantasy relevant, even though I don't believe anyone in our league starts him. Adam Thielen's only fantasy relevant because he gets end zone targets. That's what Hawkinson's going to take from him.
Yep.
Like primarily.
They already started showing that with Irv Smith before he got injured. He was starting to get some red zone looks. So
correct. I'm going to say the biggest thumbs up for me on this trade is it'll pay off on that teaser. If you stuck with us through that teaser in the first part of the show, biggest one is Kirk Cousins. Thumbs up on this because wants to go to the tight end, but with Irv Smith down, Hawkinson is a great replacement. Like I honestly think he can continue without missing a beat. This is an offense, especially that offensive coordinator previously saying that they want to throw the ball more than they did last year. I think it's starting to click for Minnesota, and I wouldn't be surprised if they are a team that gets really hot in this run up to playoffs.
Yeah, I can only hope so. I mean, they're already hot, but I need them to get extra hot at the tight end position. You know, what I mean?
You want them scorching hot. You want them
scorching.
white hot, scorching rays. All right.
I need some good DBs to lock down Jefferson and start throwing the ball to Hawk.
There you go. We'll see if that plays out for you. All you gotta do is just get me to put bets on certain players, and we can manifest all of this for you.
Perfect. That's what I need.
Excellent. All right, we're gonna take
a
quick
shot next week if Jefferson breaks 30.
Hold on, what's your bet?
You take a shot if or no. The same bet you did for Jamar Chase.
God no, not doing that bet. But I'll
Come
tell you
on.
what.
I'm playing Matt this week. I need Jefferson to be out.
I'll tell you what. Are you starting Hawkinson?
Yeah.
How about if Hawkinson scores a touchdown this week, I'll do a shot. If he doesn't score a touchdown, you owe me a shot.
How about we up it and we do 2 touchdowns and 2 shots?
2 shots for 2 touchdowns? Nah, touchdowns are so hard to predict.
But I need touchdowns. This is putting it more in your favor. I mean, for him to get 2 touchdowns, that's a lower odds, is what I'm saying. So it's a higher probability. I'd have to do the shots.
Oh, you're saying he has to get 2 touchdowns,
or then you would do 2 shots. If not, I'll do 2 shots.
Oh, absolutely. It's a bet. Put it on the board. Perfect. Let's go.
Perfect.
Excellent. I thought, okay, all right. I was mistaken.
Because I need 2 touchdowns, so I need you to be wrong.
Oh, you're using my curse. Oh, that's excellent.
Yeah.
All right.
Now that we spoke about it, who knows if it'll work?
No, dude, the curse doesn't care. It'll happen. All right. We're going to take a quick commercial break, hop on a new Zoom call. When we get back, we're going to talk waivers, trades, and the week ahead. See you in a bit. All right. We are back. Hope you enjoyed that commercial break from our trusty sponsor. Still waiting on
animals.
Still waiting on that Venmo. Someone hit us up. We are ready. Cheers, boy. Cheers. All right, let's take a look at the waiver report. And I'm actually going to share my screen for this.
Perfect.
So we can take a looky-loo here. Over on the waiver report, the top player pickup, Khalil Herbert, getting picked up for $17. The next highest bid on Khalil Herbert, 3. Wesley, how do you feel about that? You were the second highest bidder.
That was me. I'd like to say that Mr. Anonymous was probably on some LSD at the time, but I actually think that's a great pickup at $17. Can you click on him and see what he's ranked right now? I think he's top 15 running back if I remember right. Maybe a top
Khalil
10.
Herbert is currently position rank RB 20.
Oh, 20. Whoops, way off with that one. But he's
No,
doing a
but
lot
the
better than David Montgomery.
in
So
the last 2 weeks has scored 15.7 and 15.9,
yep.
and now has Miami, Detroit, Atlanta, the Jets, and Green Bay.
Yep. And with everything that's going on at the Bears right now, if they're to make a move and call him RB1, this is the time to do it. You got a new piece. He's working out for you. Feed the hot hand. So I actually like the pickup. He may have overspent technically, but it wasn't a bad spending of his money.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen bigger overspends, right, Jimmy G?
Hey.
The next highest spender, we had $12, which I believe is the highest amount we've had spent on a defense, the Bengals defense, after their stellar Monday night performance against the Cleveland Browns, going to the Birchton Ballers. Gavin Gilmore spending $12 on the Bengals defense and dropping the Rams. I'm not quite sure what this move is about. If I'm looking at the schedule, they've only got Carolina coming up in week 9 and then a bye week. And then Pittsburgh, Tennessee, Kansas City, Cleveland, Tampa, New England, Buffalo. I don't see this move making a lot of sense for a team that only has 2 wins currently. I can see it more for someone making a playoff push and can wait for the next couple weeks before they get into the meat of that against Kansas City, Cleveland, Tampa, New England.
Yeah, so coming from a five-star athlete that's been playing fantasy football for 15 years but has 0 championships to his name, a lot to unpack there. So take all this with a grain of salt, is what I'm trying to say.
So
I,
humble as always.
I said I had 0 championships. I
Yeah.
refuse to pay more than $1 for a defense or a kicker.
Is that just
Um,
on principle?
yeah, actually, I take that back. A kicker, I'll actually spend up to like $5-ish for a kicker because
Mhm.
kickers they tend to stay top 10 for the whole season, but defenses fluctuate so much that you can get a defense for 1 week at a time for $1 and just go week to week on defenses if you need to. Now, if you have like a top 3 defense, then maybe spend some money, but like outside of that, I drastic overpayment in my opinion, and that's coming from a guy that likes to spend some money.
Funny enough, we did have another bid on the Bengals defense. It came from Corey Funderburg for $3. But yeah, I don't know what people are seeing in the Bengals defense. I don't know if Carolina is just such a juicy matchup for this 1 week that it's worth that type of a spend. Could
Yeah.
be. I mean, both these, I mean, for Gavin, it's win now or sell the farm. So
Yep. And he has money to spend. So, I mean, to his credit, he has money to spend. So, if he felt like he had to have him for this week, then maybe $12 is worth it. But general principle, I think it's an overspendage.
yeah. Other notable ones. We're not going to go through all of these, but other notable pickups. PJ Walker, the Carolina quarterback, going to the Birchton Ballers for $5. That means Gavin's going to have the Carolina quarterback and the defense he's playing against going into week 9, which is must win for the Birchton Ballers.
Yeah, that's
Intriguing
interesting.
to say the least.
But what's the deal with Baker Mayfield? Is he done for the season or something? Like what?
That's a great question. Give me your best speculation while I Google that real quick. What's your best idea about Baker
Anyways,
Mayfield?
I think he's only out for a couple of weeks, and it should be his job when he comes back. They paid him the money to do it. It's like Tyler Heineke at Washington. It's going to be Wentz's job when he comes back. So if you're trying to win now, then I guess it makes sense. But also, if you're trying to win now, why are you picking a quarterback to go up against your own defense? So I don't know. Desperate times calls for desperate measures. So he's got to do something. And Walker's played good. What was it last week? I think the week before he was kind of trash. No, 2 weeks in a row. He's put up 15 points. So
No, PJ Walker's been decent. Former XFL quarterback PJ
yeah,
Walker. You'd
just
love to
like
see that.
just like Heineke. But
Yep.
it was his first 2 weeks that were bad. I was just awful week. He went 2-2 and then 15-16. So if
Yeah.
he can keep it up, it's like I was saying earlier, McCaffrey's gone. The offense is clicking. It's just maybe what they needed.
All
And the
right.
coaches. Don't let me
So
forget that.
here's the latest official on Baker Mayfield. Nothing. The team confirmed that Baker Mayfield, a former first overall pick in the 2018 draft, has been benched for former XFL quarterback PJ Walker, named their starter.
Whoa.
That's it. It's just a benching. That's
So
it.
he's not even injured.
Nope. And he has accepted the backup role. He's just not injured, just benched.
Wow. Well, Gavin, I would like to apologize. I
Yeah.
was
So
completely wrong 30 seconds ago.
that
That is
that
shocking.
well, that's really intriguing for the week coming up with PJ Walker going up against the Cincinnati Bengals defense.
Yeah.
All right.
Does,
So
does that mean Baker gets traded? I don't know. I have so many questions now.
we're already past the trade deadline now. Yeah.
Yeah, but
So,
like next season, I don't know. Anyways, next topic.
well, speaking of trades, Wesley, I know you and I were talking previously about some potential trades that were brought up in the group me. These were some trade offers. I know there was one at least that stuck out to you. There were no major
Yeah.
trades that went through in the league over the past 7 days. There are some trade offers in the works, though. So I'm intrigued to see what goes in tomorrow and Friday. But you had one that really stuck out to you as far as a trade offer.
Yeah, yeah. The one that Matt brought up today that he sent to Gavin for Lamar and Everett for Andrews and Dimes. I'm just shocked that Gavin didn't take that. And if that was offered 1, 2 weeks ago, back when Gavin still had a shot of getting a couple games under his belt, I'm even more shocked, especially with how Andrews has turned out the last 2 weeks. What he's put up under 8 points, I think, the past 2 weeks. So that's a pretty that's a tough one for him to swallow with the hindsight, I'm sure. But I don't know. I'm high on Everett. I think he actually has a lot of high stock and he's just undervalued right now personally, but
Yeah.
I
As an
would have taken
Austin
that one in a heartbeat.
as an Austin Eckler owner, I choose not to think about Everett ever because all he does is poach touchdowns.
True.
Yeah, that's a very interesting trade that was brought up in the group me, and I believe last time we talked with Gavin on the podcast, he made it a point to say that Mark Andrews is kind of like the heart and soul of his team. Like that is the positional advantage at tight end that keeps him in every matchup, even when other players underperform. So it could just be
Yep.
that we're lashed onto that.
Him and Dalvin Cook, because I cannot get his hands off Dalvin Cook.
As try as you might, try as you might. All right, that's going to do it for any trades. We didn't have anything go through, but we'll keep our ears to the ground to the end of this week. Let's look ahead into week 9. We are now in the playoff push. Every game counts. And in week 9, we have got some close matchups already slated. The first one we're going to look at, it's going to be yours truly, St. Brown and the Broken Zones up against Ayahuasca's Anonymous. This is a 3-5 team taking on a 5-3 in the East Division, both projected at 118 points. What I'm looking for here is a big Austin Eckler game, as per usual. And please, for the love of God, can one of my quarterbacks do something? That would be clutch. Also, I need to find out for sure whether DeAndre Swift is going to be healthy enough to play or if I'm riding Jamal Williams into hopefully a new starting role so DeAndre Swift can take care of that shoulder.
Yeah. I mean, I hate to say this to you,
Let's hear it.
but Alex has McCaffrey, Chubb, Samuel, and Wilson on bye. If you can't beat him now, you got to sell the farm. I mean, this is the time that he's going to be beatable. He had some great pickups, don't get me wrong, but that is the heart and soul on bye for him this week. You have to pull this one out, otherwise
Yeah.
it's going to look tough.
Yeah. And so for those of you that have sent me offers for Austin Eckler, who is RB1, and I understand would have a great value to a contending team that's already got a playoff spot locked up. I'm just not there yet. And the reason why is I have this matchup with all these players on bye for Alex. And then I have Team Grit the following week, which I think is definitely beatable with my lineup. And 2 wins put me right back in it if the 5-3s cannibalize. So I think you're right. It's going to be a tough pill to swallow if I can't beat Alex this week. And you want my spicy play of the week in this one? My
Oh, let's get it.
spicy play? I'm starting Taysom Hill at tight end. Taysom Hill, who is more a running back than a tight end, he just has potential to pop off, and I love how unpredictable it is. And he's playing on Monday night, so he's going to be my Hail Mary spicy play for this matchup.
Yep. And you get a little bit of the opposite feeling from last week where the Raiders were beating up on your fantasy team, or not the Raiders, the Saints were beating up on your fantasy team. And here you can just fully cheer for the Saints offense to just go off.
Oh,
So
big Storm and Mormon guy, big Taysom Hill guy. Let's go. Love seeing that paycheck go straight to the Latter day Saints church. Love that. All right, our next matchup, it's yours. You're currently projected 115 up against Matt, projected at 140. You are facing a pretty tough matchup now that Matt has everybody back. He's got Jalen Hurts, he's got ETN, he's got Cup, he's got Jefferson, and he's got Lamar. How are you feeling about your matchup?
Not good. That's the hot take or the quick take. Yeah, no, I if my lineup was healthy and I had Barkley in there, then we'd be having a shootout right now. And that's all you can hope for at playoffs. The key is I have to get to playoffs.
Yeah.
Um, without Barkley, I'm hurting. I need a running back, trying to make some trade offers. Nothing's going through. But if I can get a running back, then it'll be a game. Otherwise, Matt should run away with this one.
Yeah, this schedule for Saquon after the bye, it's so unfortunate you get Matt during the bye week because with his team all healthy too.
Yeah.
Because weeks 10 and 11, you get Houston and Detroit, and Saquon is going to crush.
Yeah.
So
tough pill to swallow, but it is what it is. Last time I was on the podcast, I wanted to go 2-2. I'm here at 2-2 in the thick of it as requested. This week's probably going to be a loss. So if I can go 1-1, I'll still be in the thick of it.
Yep.
But
hey man, yeah. I'm trying to go 2-0. If I go 2-0, I'm not. I'm actually in contention. Yep. If I lose one of these next two games, Eckler's on the block. It's time to look into 2023 team. All right, next matchup we have our current league leader Alex Dragon facing Corey Eller at 2-6. Alex Dragon projected to win by about 14 points. Really hard to overcome Alex's team right now. The only bye week players he has, the Cowboys defense and Pat Freiermuth from Pittsburgh. Other than that, he's got Tua, Derrick Henry, Ramondre Stevenson, Stephon Diggs. Yeah, I mean, and he's got the Patriots defense up against Indianapolis Colts at home. So so he'll be a big Pats guy as per usual and tough team to beat.
Yeah, I think 128 is a low projection for him when they have Matt projected at 140, to be honest.
That's a good point. Yeah, actually, every single player on Alex Dragon's starting roster right now for this week is top 20 at their position. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of them are top 10.
Yeah, so I think 128 is a low projection, but Corey almost shocked us last week. Maybe he can do it again. He'll need another huge performance from AJ Brown. Yep. If it's not him, then it'll have to be probably Kyler Murray or somebody. I don't know.
No, it's definitely possible. AJ Brown is playing Houston. Unfortunately, Miles Sanders also on his team playing Houston, so they both can't score touchdowns at the same time. So it'll have to be a high scoring affair there. Yeah. Chris Godwin, if he gets the Tom Brady looks instead of Mike Evans, then we could see something.
Get out of here with that.
I know you don't want to hear that, but yeah, it's possible. And then Evan McPherson, hopefully he makes a field goal at some point. Our next matchup, we have Team Grit, currently projected to beat Gavin Gilmore, who has a lot of red question marks on that team. Gavin Gilmore currently going to be without Daniel Jones and Jerry Jeudy, but Scott actually projected to win even without CeeDee Lamb, George Kittle, Jimmy Garoppolo.
Yeah, well, he didn't start Jimmy G last week either. Mistake.
No, he's got Kirk Cousins facing the Washington Commanders, and
yeah.
I like that as a quarterback matchup. I think that's going to be good. Alvin Kamara facing Baltimore at home in the Dome. Would love to see that. Who dat? And projected at 20.3, which is above his average. So plus matchup for Alvin Kamara.
Yeah, only weak person again is Carter. You don't know what you're going to get. Curtis Samuel is a classic flex play. Is he going to give you 3? Is he going to give you 30? You have no idea. So I think his team looks good. It does look like Keenan Allen might be out. I'm showing him projected at 0 now. So
I'm also showing him projected at 0 on this.
Yeah, so that'll be interesting to see. I guess Cooks is going in, but I think it sounds like he's having some Twitter drama with the team. So who knows what's going on there?
Yeah, that's if he's playing football by the time game time rolls around.
Yeah, so I don't know. It hopefully we'll have a shootout once he gets that spot filled. But
yeah.
I think Team Grit should pull this one out. They should be both 2-7 by the end of this week.
That was what I was going to say. I was going to take Team Grit in this matchup, and I was actually going to put a shot on it if you were interested. If you wanted to take Gavin in this matchup, but it sounds like we're both on the Team Grit side here.
I mean, I'll take the spread. Spread on it.
The spread is currently 24 points without Keenan Allen in there, so we're gonna
so
have to
add
readjust.
10 in there. So this a 10-point spread.
I'll tell you what. I will take Team Grit minus. I'll take Team Grit minus 10.
Yeah. All right, I'm in.
You in for a shot?
Yeah.
All right. Cheers, boy.
Now, we might be up to 3 shots here, so may need to spread these over a couple podcasts.
No, next podcast is going to be electric. We're going to have another in memoriam made for one of us. It's going to be excellent. All right, last matchup before we close it out. We have Pat Dragon projected at 116 going up against Corey Funderburg projected at 122. So projecting a major bounce back. Can't imagine we have another performance like that from Joe Burrow and Josh Jacobs. So yeah, Corey Funderburg currently projected to beat out Pat Dragon in almost every position. For Pat to pull this off, I'm really looking at Damian Pierce has a tough matchup against Philadelphia. I don't see that happening. Christian Kirk against Las Vegas. I would love for that to happen because that would be great for my swag wires and Trevor Lawrence. But the deciding factor is definitely going to be Devonta Smith against Houston. So AJ Brown and Devonta Smith, whoever gets that big blow up game from Jalen Hurts, whoever gets those looks and has that 30-point game, that's going to decide 2 different matchups in the league.
Yeah. Yeah. You got to think the Raiders are going to bounce back at least somewhat. I mean, the whole team can't put up a goose egg again, right?
Yeah.
I like his pickup again, like I said earlier with Everett. Big fan of that one. So I think he has a chance of having the advantage there against Ertz. Obviously, he has the one quarterback advantage.
This will
So I
be
don't. It'll be a good game.
This will be a big matchup for Pat because if he can win this particular matchup, if he can pull this off without having Zeke, Jamar, and Amari Cooper, and Dak Prescott, who I know he's high on for the rest of the year.
Yep.
If he can pull it off without those players and they get healthy and get past their bye week going into playoffs, Pat's sitting in a pretty good spot to make the Dragon Bowl for one of those playoff matchups.
Yeah, unfortunately, you're right. Personally, I need Corey to win this 70-69 would be the best case scenario for me.
That would be ideal because now we're looking at points for every point matters now with all these 5-3 teams. You got any closing arguments before we wrap it up?
I don't think so. I think this season I do not an argument, just a closing point. This fantasy football league, specifically this season, easily the most competitive one that I've been in yet when it comes to the rankings, overall wins and losses. So I think everybody's doing good, and even the teams that are down, they have good teams. So we're gonna have some major bracket busters here going into the final home stretch of this season.
Yep. I'm very excited to see how this shapes up going into those last couple of weeks before playoffs when every scenario is going to get run and the group me is going to be full of, okay, well, if you lose by more than 15 and then I do this, yeah, it's going to be great. I can't wait for that.
Oh, yeah.
All right. How much more of that drink you got left?
Just a little bit.
All right. Finish it off. I'm going to finish mine. Cheers. Thank you for joining me on the podcast.
Cheers.
We're going to hit the music and we will see y'all in week 9. Good luck. Yeah, and stay healthy out there. Don't let the curse get you.
Yep. Only got shots on it.